Guten Tag, meinen Freunden. Es ist Dita. Wie geht's? Ich bin sehr gut, and I hope you are too. For my German friends, I thank you. I actually have somebody from Europe, a few people who replied to me in German. My German isn't very good, but it's fun. So I think I picked Dita because I liked, back in the day, Steve Martin did this skit. I think there was Hans and Dita, We Dance, or the Czechoslovakian Swingers, or whatever. And anyway, I play on the Dita because my ancestry is German. So, you know, Dita likes to tell stories, but the story is this. When Catherine the Great, in the 1700s, went to marry the Tsar in Russia, she took like almost 300,000 German people with her. And both my mother's and my father's family were German, descended from people that went there to, it's present day along the Dnieper River. So actually, I'm descended from Germans who live in what's now a part of Ukraine and was then part of the Russian Empire. So that's a little history there. And I don't care about being politically correct. My great-grandfather on my mother's side was actually, I think, a colonel or a general in the last Tsar's army, and he was decorated by the last Tsar for bravery in the Russian Japanese War, I think around 1900 or something. Anyway, that's just a little history. This is real history, not this bullshit politically correct history. Just telling you where Dita's come from. All right, so what are we going to talk about today, Dita? This video is about, okay, what Dita would buy according to his budget. So you got, okay, a good entry-level guitar. We're talking about, and when Dita talks about guitars, it doesn't matter if it's a plywood back and sides. Solid is nice, but that's just a more or less a bragging rights thing nowadays. Top has to be book matched. So let's say you're starting out or you're not starting out, but I'm going to have some fun with this because I think I think some people misunderstand if you only see a couple of my videos. You don't see. I'm not saying look at all of them. It'd be nice if you did, but I cover a lot of things there. So you know, when I talk about what I would do, it's just my experience. I have what I have because it's what's available, and I try and see. I make an effort to see. Now that I got my driver's license back. That's another story for another day. So if I say, well, you know, if you see one of my videos and go, wait a minute, and you live in the UK or somewhere in the States or wherever, or Japan, and you go, yeah, but I got this, and you don't mention that, it's just because I have no experience with it. And you might be very right. You might say, well, Dita, this is just as good as what you're saying. Why didn't you talk about mine? That's why I don't talk about yours. And you very well have a guitar that Dita hasn't no experience with or hasn't heard of that's just as good as what Dita talking about, or even better. So that's good. I like to be educated. I'm all about open mind, and I'm not monetized, and I have no brand loyalty other than if I buy a brand and let's say I have 2 or 3 products from that and they've all been good, then I go, they're doing something right here. And for that, I will say, that's why I sometimes say I like Godin products or Yamaha products or Boucher products, products that I have, LR Bags products, Fishman products that I have experience with. I go, you know, I have 5 or 6 of these. They're all good. So is it wrong for me to assume that probably they're generally good? You know, I don't think so. But I get it wrong sometimes. I'm human, right? So anyway, if I'm just starting out, got $800. I've told you before. I buy this is a parlor size. I would buy a parlor size or a concert size. I would actually buy a concert size classical nylon string guitar. And around $800, you could probably get a decent go down product. You could probably get a decent Yamaha product, probably get a decent Alhambra product. Those are just ones that I'm familiar with. And any other classical guitar that, you know what to look for. Quality construction, that's what I would do. Okay, so that's $800 starter guitar taken care of. Now I got $1,000 or $1,200. Well, you got lots of options there. And here I really do say forget the name, because I've even played some good Chinese built guitars, okay? So China, I'm just saying you be careful with, because, you know, it's a big, huge country. There's lots of fraud going on there. And I'm just calling a spade here. So if you have a Chinese company that cares, and I'm sure there are some that do, well, good for you. If you're dealing with a knockoff rip-off person as well, you know, you gotta carefully research these things. Skin color or race has got nothing to do with the quality of. They're good craftsmen of any creed or color. Come on, you know, let's be honest. So that's enough said about that. So just be careful with stuff like that. So now, where I find it really interesting, and I almost say, like, compare this to race cars, right? Where it gets really interesting is the $1,500 to $2,500 range, because there you have lots of makers. So I'm not going to use any specific names. Lots of makers that make a good guitar. So that just comes down to, let's say I was looking for a 12 fret non-cutaway 000 steel string. There are probably, seriously, 15 different name makes that make a good one. So it just gets down to, okay, I like this one a little better. That's all it comes down to. So, you know, lots of good ones. For me, where I think the best deals lies for the people that have a $2,000 to $3,000. This is where it's really good, because there's lots of good stuff there. But $2,000 to $3,000 will get you a really nice guitar usually. And here you have a lot of choice. And in that $2,000 to $3,000, I would go with Larrabee. You've got some Godin products, Seagulls or whatever, Normans, and all the stuff that Godin makes. You've got Yamaha there. You've got Epiphone. I've seen some good ones. I'm not familiar with Fender guitars, so that's why I don't mention them. I don't know if Gibson owns Epiphone, but I've seen some decent Epiphones there. Most of the stuff I've seen from Japan is always good. Japanese stuff is good. I've seen nice quartz stuff. I think they're from Indonesia or Malaysia. That's what gets really interesting. Now, where I find you get, if you're a more advanced player, and I'm not saying I'm a great player, but I can play more than 3 chords on a good day. Okay? Where I think the best deals are for anybody. I'm not talking about the elite, right? You play so well, you make a couple $100,000 a year performing, and you know you're one of the top 1% in the world. Good for you, whoever you are. Great. You're gonna have a nice guitar, I'm sure. But with those people, it gets down to, okay, I have a Porsche. You've got a Mercedes. You've got a Ferrari. You've got a Maserati. Mine's 400 horsepower. Yours is 6. This is 7. Yours costs 3 times as much. In a great player's hand, when you get into a guitar that's 14,000, one that's 30,000, I don't think you can hear a difference. If you'd have to put it in some kind of isolated multi-million-dollar chamber to actually measure a thing, and I don't think most people would hear that. So there you start getting into, they're all well built. Let's be honest. You build a guitar that's over 10 grand, it's not well built. Well, shame on you. And I don't think anyone would buy it or play it. But around the what did I say? 2 to 3 or 25 to 3,500. Now that might be up to 3 to 5 because I know prices have gone up, and I have no concept of time, so this goes by the wayside sometimes. But okay, let's look at it this way. If Dita, and if some of you out there have lots of money and don't know what to do with it and want to be generous, I'll take it. If Dita had $18,000, because I have to include the tax, current as of today prices, $18,000, what would Dita buy? Because there's 3 guitars Dita doesn't have, which would make it 31, that he would really like to have if money was no object. And I'll tell you right away what they are. I'd go buy a Boucher HG56 12-fret model, probably with rosewood back and sides, because I have quite a few guitars that have mahogany back and sides, or I might even get maple back and sides. Maple makes a good back and sides too. So that's what I do. So there's $7,000 of that 18 gone, right? And that one of the nicest guitars I've seen, regardless of the price. I forget the model number. Shame on me. I'll have to go look at it. But I played one a few weeks ago, and I was really impressed. And I've always been impressed with Yairi, I'll be honest. The only reason I don't have one is because I didn't even know they were around until a few years ago, and by then I'd had most of my guitars, so that's it. It was around $3,800, $4,000. Gorgeous guitar, beautiful guitar. Every bit as good as anything I've ever played. So, I'm sorry I don't know the name of that, but if you guys, those of you who have $4,000 and want a really nice steel string, look at Yairi. That's what Dita advises you to do. Very, very, as good as anything I've seen. Okay. You know, I like to knock Martin and Gibson a lot too. I played 3 expensive Gibsons. They were crap. That's why I knocked them. So I'm not saying that you can't get a good one, but out of the 3 really high-priced ones I played, they were all crap. And it's just a fact. They even have cheap, okay, $5,000, $6,000 guitar. I don't care. It should not have cheap plastic nut and saddle and bridge pins on it. That's just an abomination. At that price, that shit has to be bone. That has to be bone. Tusk at a minimum. Gibson, what are you doing there? I'm buying a $6,000 guitar, and you have a 20-cent plastic nut on it and a 20-cent plastic saddle. Come on. That's just wrong. And Martin, I loved me. The main reason I diss on Martin Sertan is because so many. I'm not saying all of you. Come on. I'm sure there are some very nice people that own Martin guitars, but it's like the holy grail. But boy, come on, bullshit. I've played some good ones. I've played some bad ones. I've played some mediocre ones, and I'll just be honest. I've never played a great one. Best Martin I've played had a matte finish, and I think was $3,200. I think it was a D18. Best one I've personally played. Now, at that price range, would I buy that guitar? No. I'd pick the Yairi over it, and I would pick a Cole Clark over that. So that's where it gets interesting. One of the nicest guitars I've played, and I love them because they're plug in and play, is the Cole Clark Angel. Now, Cole Clark has some exotic woods, but if you know Cole Clark, they're an Australian company, and their stuff, they transplanted western red cedars, and they grow differently down there. And you get a red cedar Australian top, and they have a different kind of pine or spruce they call there. They make good tops, and I'm not sure what the species is, and that's my bad because I haven't researched it enough. I used to know this stuff. I'm forgetful. I'm 6. Like, Dita is old. He might die tomorrow, you know, and then that's the end of Dita. I'm not saying I'm ill, but, you know, I'm out of shape and overweight now ever since this COVID thing. I've stopped, I've stopped being as active, and it's one of the reasons I have my dog. But the weather's been shit, so I know. Look, Dita knows he's a fat slob and needs to lose 40 pounds because this is the heaviest Dita's been in a long time. But Dita will work on that, okay? So, where it's really interesting, if I had 3, is if you have $3,000 to $5,000, there's lots of nice guitars. Yeah, you can get a nice Martin in there, sure. So that's where it comes down to, again, like the race car thing. You know, well, hey, it has to be a Porsche, does it? What's wrong with a good Maserati, or a good Ferrari, or a good Audi, you know? Personally, I like the Porsche 911. I've driven one, so. But, again, with the car analogy, this is when you get to, sorry, I know I'm jumping all over the place. So, $3,000 to $5,000, I would seriously look at Yairi, maybe some Yamahas out there. and I don't know what else. Takamine might be worth looking at. I don't have much experience with them. There are lots of good guitars there you can get. Definitely. Larrivee, the 3 to 5 grand range. That's the sweet spot nowadays. I guarantee if you take your time, you'll find something outstanding in the 3 to 5 grand range. That's all. And the reason I go Boucher, because I know they're more now. Mine was 32, 36 when I got it. I think they are all around 5 or 6 Canadian now. But I'm just saying in my experience, now I haven't played a 5 or 6 grand Yairi. There might be one that's just as nice or nicer than a Boucher. In my experience, at that price range, that's what you get. Okay? That's, you know, me, yeah. And when you get to over 7 grand, then it's flip a coin. Come on, they're all good. Unless it's a big company custom shop that sprayed a 2-inch finish on it. Yeah. And some of you I know because I've seen your comments. And I apologize if I don't get back to you right away because I have my comments. They're all held for review because if you're just going to troll me because you're just some weird jerk off that's got nothing better to do, I don't care. If you have a legitimate, even if it's do you disagree with me, I will publish it. I'm open-minded that way, and I can dish it out and I can take it too. You know, I just do these for fun, and I'm trying to share my honest opinions and feelings about these things. So I hope you get that. And what I was going to say, you know, that's why I always take the player out of it. I mean, I don't care what level you play at, and you shouldn't care what level I play at, because I know enough about it, and I can play well enough that I can hear these things. I don't have to show off for 10 minutes, which this is why I got nothing against most guitar videos, but you know, you see a good player, well, okay, you play the same thing, okay, but if I'm looking at a $5,000, $4,000 guitar, I don't want to see 100 videos that say this is a bluegrass guitar, and have 100 guys really well playing bluegrass. That doesn't tell me about the guitar. You know, play open chords, play simple things, and let the guitar ring so I can hear the guitar, right? I don't give a fucking thing if you can play Oklahoma Borderline as well as Vince Gill. If you get to see him play that, you should. It's amazing. But Vince Gill can play that, I guarantee you, on 100 different guitars. It'll sound brilliant. How does that help you? How does that help you? Come on. Dita just tries to help. So, Vita saying, have a good day. I know I ramble because I don't script this shit. I just have a fucking shitty iPhone. Well, like, what do you expect? And you know, I wish I had. When I have a better setup, I'll do better things, right? I mean, sometimes you go, well, what's this guy talking about? That pickup sounds like shit. Well, I'm not in a studio, man. Okay. Have a good day. Ciao.